everyone. My name is Hannah Bothner, and I am the Short Film Program Director for Tallgrass Film Festival. Today, we are here with Kieran Stringfellow, who is the director of the short film Bulldog. Hi, Kieran. It's so nice to talk to you today about your film.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me and talking to me about my film. So yeah, it's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Well, my very first question for you is, where did the inspiration for this film come from? Where did you get the idea?
Yeah, so I just finished film school in England, and I'd moved to Manchester, which is one of probably the second biggest city within England. And I was looking for my next short film to make, going back to having no budget, not having much crew and resource, and I wanted something I could do quite simple, quite kind of very, very low budget, but also not compromising on, I guess, cinematic scope and whatnot. And I was quite inspired by the city of Manchester, and I kind of got a new apartment here, and I was kind of finding myself coming across, rough sleepers, homeless people quite a lot. And I found finding myself kind of making snap judgments on these people based who they are and their situation. And that was interesting in terms of, why am I judging these people because of who they are and whatnot. And that's where the idea for the film came, to tell a story that kind of played in those kind of stereotypes that I think a lot of people do, I guess, subconsciously have when it comes to homeless people. And can we use film tropes like the thriller genre, like to kind of maybe play in those stereotypes and twist it a bit, and make the audience jump to a conclusion, only for the ending to be something different. So yeah, it's very much inspired by the city of Manchester. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I want to know how you cast your film. Where did you find your main character? And then I also want to know how you found the dog, and if there was anything particular that you were looking for in a dog, or if how you found your two main characters, so to speak.
Yeah, so with Lewis, who plays the main character, we kind of, because the script doesn't have any dialogue in it, it was we're looking for someone who had a face that really kind of, I guess, captured the audience, kind of on a I guess someone who could look both mean and so Tasha was looking at some kind of different agencies and casting sites, and she found Lewis, and we both just went, yeah, he's the guy. He's just, his face is very expressive, and his eyes and everything. It was just like, yeah, we both knew straight away that we wanted to be him, regardless of his ability as an actor. And then he happened to be also, really, really great to work with. And I mean, I guess a performance with no dialogue is probably harder than a performance with dialogue in some respects, because you've got to do it all with your eyes and your cheekbones and stuff like that. So yeah, he did a great job with that. And then with the dog, it was very much just kind of, it was our first time working with animal, and obviously they always say don't work with animals, so it was quite a scary process. But we just kind of were looking for an animal that was well trained, and that, I guess, over in England, I guess homeless people there's a certain type of dog that I guess homeless people do tend to have, and it tends to be staffies. So it kind of fit in with that theme as well. A dog that can kind of can survive in the outdoors and whatnot. But yeah, and the dog was called Hulk, and he was really good to work with. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Good to know that he was good to work with, because I've heard that a lot of don't work with animals. A lot of your film takes place outdoors. Did you have any challenges with filming that much outside?
And to be fair, we were quite lucky, because Manchester is a city is normally terribly rainy and chill weather, but we shot over 2 days on a weekend, and we were blessed with great weather. Well, great weather, no rain, and we kind of did it with a very kind of run and gun style of approach. So it was a very small crew, like 4 or 5 of us running around Manchester with a little camera, just shooting this it was all scripted, all planned, but we just it was very much like each scene, shoot it. We didn't have to worry about sound too much, because there's no dialogue to capture, so we could kind of not have to worry about capturing sound on the day, because it would be all done in Foley. But to be fair, we were quite lucky. There was no kind of real issues when we were shooting outside, so we kind of got away with it, to be fair, in that sense.
Yeah, really lucky with the rain there. I can imagine. What was the Foley process like? I always found that really fascinating.
Yeah, well, because we kind of got a brilliant sound designer called Brian, Dissolve Audio, and he just worked magic really. We kind of had a clear idea of what we wanted. I think for me it was very much like the image and the sound design, creating this very immersive feeling. And we worked with Brian very closely to kind of achieve that. And to be fair, he brought so much little details to it that we hadn't even thought about, to be fair. But because we didn't really capture much on location sound, it was very much basic stuff. So a lot of sound in the film is pretty much him doing that, him bringing that in himself, like in the city, the city sounds, the tram sounds, all that kind of stuff. And obviously the brilliant score that he kind of produced as well. So yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Watching your film, I would have thought that it was all captured there on the day, but that's incredible.
No, it was totally pretty much.
That's really incredible. Next question is a difficult one, maybe. What about the film are you most proud?
I think for me, the thing I'm most proud about is the decision to not have dialogue in it. I think that was something I really wanted to try. My last film, which was my grad film, was a completely 4 characters talking piece, I guess. So I think I wanted to do the complete opposite and tell a story without any words and rely on the camera and the sound design to really tell a story. And I think that there's many times where we thought about adding some dialogue in it or adding a second character in it. But I think ultimately no, we want to do it this way, and hopefully the audience, hopefully it kind of works. And so the fact it does, that's one of the things I'm proud of, is that we did it completely dialogue free. So yeah.
Absolutely. I kind of want to talk about this idea of companionship, because the feature that your film is paired with is about finding companionship in cats, and I think it's we've got a really great parallel here for just the deep love that we have for animals and for our pets. Can you talk about exploring that in your film, and if that was something that drew you to writing about this project in particular, was just exploring that companionship?
Yes, that was a big part of the script and the idea of wanting to get across, because I think the idea of defining companionship as a sort of home, home isn't necessarily a kind of structure. It can be like your family and that thing. And I think we did a bit of research before shooting, talking to honest people within Manchester who had pets, and asking them about their situation. And a lot of them said that they'd been offered housing, but they didn't accept pets, so they refused it. And that the idea that an animal is more important than the basic needs of a shelter. And I think that was interesting, and how companionship is, it gives you purpose, isn't it? And I think having an animal or something to rely on, something to look after, is it gives you that kind of sense of purpose and and also a sense of home. Even though you don't have a home, it can give you that sense of feeling. So I think it was definitely a big thing for us, was that idea of companionship and what someone's willing to do to kind of get that back if they've lost it, which ultimately is the main mission of the character, really, isn't it? But yeah, so yeah, it was definitely a huge element of the script, and something that we wanted to try and do, authentically, and make sure that we're doing it right. So yeah.
Absolutely. So you just mentioned a little bit that you spoke with a lot of homeless people in Manchester. What was that process like? Did you do any other research other than speaking with people?
So that was the main thing we did, really, just to kind of, I guess, make sure that what we were telling was we were doing it authentically, and just talking to homeless people within the city about their experiences. And we also kind of did talk to a few charities as well, and because there's a certain charity in Manchester, in the UK, that does that is about homeless pets. I think it's like a veterinary that can look after homeless people's pets. So we talked to them about that, and we got a lot of interesting insights from them. But again, a similar thing was that a lot of homeless people would rather be in the street with their animal rather than give up their animal, which is really interesting, because it shows you how important that is, and how important that companionship is. That it's more important than actually having a roof over your head sometimes. So yeah,
it's incredible. What do you want people to take away the most from your film after they finish watching, walk away, go home? What do you want people to take away from it?
Well, I think I'd hope that they would kind of, try and, work out why it is maybe they jumped to conclusion in the first place. The idea was to try and take the audience on a journey, assume this guy is quite dodgy or quite kind of, I guess, nefarious because of what he looks like, because of what he's doing. And then obviously the end is completely different. So I think I'd like, to hopefully confront the viewers with that. Why do we jump to that conclusion? Do you know what I mean? Why do we, make those assumptions? And hopefully that, I think that's something, because it's something that I did before I made the film, was I was guilty of those same assumptions and, and making those conclusions. So I think that would be the main thing. Hopefully they can kind of, that's something it's interesting in my opinion anyway. So yeah, that would be the main thing.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us about your film today. I've got one last question for you. What are you working on next? What can we expect from you next? Is there anything you want to point people towards online to follow you?
Yeah, so this year I've made 2 short films. One of them is finished, and it was in collaboration with BBC New Creatives. So it's a little body horror style short. It's not, I'm not sure when it's going to be released yet, but it should be released on BBC iPlayer at some point at the end of the year, maybe. It's like a little 4-minute kind of fun camp, quite kitsch body horror, which is very different to Bulldog, and that was interesting. And I'm also in the edit of a 15-minute short film called Tow Truck, which is also got a dog in it. It's about a young single parent who kidnaps a dog to win some prize money at a dog show, and it's that was made with funding from the AFI network. So we're really excited to get that finished and the circuit next year probably. So yeah, that's the 2 things that we're kind of working on at the moment, and obviously developing some long form ideas, scripts and whatnot. But yeah, Block B Films on Instagram, at Block B Films. If you want to follow there, you can see what we're doing, see all our behind the scenes and stuff, and yeah, we'll keep in touch with that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking to us today about your awesome film. And thanks to you all out there for tuning in and for supporting Tallgrass.